I decided to do the traineeship because I did construction for my leaving cert, so I quite like hands-on work, and my dad's a builder, so like I would have always worked up with him throughout the years. And then also I have a cousin that works in Comberlip, and I asked him, all about it, and he's in the drawing end of it. So I was like thinking a bit more, I'd like to get hands-on work with the forklifts. So I wasn't really sure which area I'd like to go into, but it was nice to know that there were so many variations of places to go in Comberlip. So overall, I quite enjoyed the traineeship course because like mixture of having theory and practical was great. Like 12 weeks in Comberlip was brilliant to break up the college, and it wasn't all in one 12-week block. It was kind of broken up. You have 3 weeks here, 2 weeks there, maybe a week there, or even 4 days. It was always broken up, so you weren't always in the college, which I quite like because I think people kind of get like a bit bored of books the whole time. But also the teachers were great. Anytime you had a question or any of those things, like doesn't matter how many times they had to explain it to you, because everybody does understand things differently. They have to be taught differently. So teachers were great that way. And also coming into Comberlip, supervisors were very, very helpful. The guys on the line were great. So overall, it was definitely a great course to do. So the area that I quite enjoyed the most was the electrical room. So the first block placement is 3 weeks, and that's where I was put for the first 3 weeks. And I got working with a buddy of mine, Nigel, and I was working with him for the 3 weeks. We were out on the line, kind of just, wiring up lights or wiring up masts and fixing any problems. Maybe if a wire got caught and it was ripped, fixing it up with connections and all those sort of things. So like a year ago, if you had asked me did I want to do anything with electricals, I would have ran a mile, whereas now like I'm ready to just dive in. I've got to like love it that much.
What I like about the traineeship and Comberlip in general is hands on the job with their work practice, also learning the engineering behind it all, how things works, how you put the components all together to make a big machine that works perfectly. So it's a really good course for me. The working environment is great, friendly. It's very friendly, helpful. The colleagues here are very, very helpful. It's also very, very clean to a factory that does a lot and supply and manufacture a lot of machines. And also there's a lot of thought gone into the health and safety perspective. What really struck me here is that the culture respect within the workplace, and I'm really enjoying it.
Hello, my name is Gary McCaffrey. I decided to do the traineeship for Comberlip because I'm interested in machinery, and I'd done a bit of farming along with my granda, so I had that interest there from a young age. I thought the traineeship was very helpful when I was in the college. The theory that I learned really helped me out in the factory as I moved through different stages and I knew different components. After I successfully completed the traineeship, I was offered a job on line 2. On line 2, I was put onto a stage where I had to fit the bonnets, the doors and the exhaust of the machine. I am currently working now on stage 3, where I run the hoses along the chassis of the machine and fit the engines as well. I chose to do the traineeship as it was close to home. It didn't have the same expenses as the university or colleges courses, and Comberlip also give you a bursary to do the traineeship. For me, completing the traineeship, I felt it gave me an edge over an outside person applying for a job in Comberlip.
I wanted to change in direction. I've worked for 35 years in the woodwork trade, and I just wanted to do something completely different, so that was it. Oh, I definitely have an edge on them, there's no doubt about that. In the classroom, the younger fellas will have the edge on me, but out here in the workplace, I'm gonna hope, because I had the experience. I know the workplace etiquette, I know how to work, that kind of way, so I'd have an edge on them for sure, But the pure student for me, it was easy. For me, it was like having a second chance. Left school very young, 15 years old. I was very young leaving school, and with nothing. I'd done my inter-cert, and that was it. It's equivalent to junior cert now. So no, it was a second chance. And I have to say, I just put my heart and soul into it. And simple as that. I just didn't leave no stone unturned. I just went for it. It's improved. lots of things in my life, you know. Career options, yes, definitely, you know, but like I'm 51 now, so it's I want this to be my last job. I don't want to be floating about trying to get a career at 55, 56, 58. I don't want that, you know. I want this to be the last one, you know.
We'd successful years where we've had full classes, and we're actively looking for new applicants for this program.
Welcome everyone to this year's 2021 OEM Engineering Traineeship event. This is our first online event and we're very excited to welcome you all here today. We didn't think we'd be doing a virtual event this year, but here we are and still in the middle of COVID-19. So we hope you all enjoy today's speakers and take away something new about the OEM Engineering Traineeship that you may not have known before logging on today. So I'd like to now welcome our first speaker is Martin McVicker, Managing Director of CombiLift. Martin, over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Shauna, and good evening, everyone. So thanks for joining on this virtual, I'd call it information evening. And I know, of course, with COVID-19, it's changed a lot of our lives. So I think if this had been a normal year, we'd love to welcome you here at our facility for a cup of tea and coffee while we give you some of the basis of our business. Back, in fact, it was just over 6-7 years ago, myself and my business partner, Robert, we realized, you know what, as the business is continuing to grow, it was becoming more challenging for us to find skilled employees for our business as we continue to grow. And we actually said to ourselves, we need to develop some in-house training programs. And we were very fortunate to join up with Monaghan Cavan ETB to develop this engineering traineeship. And we're actually currently in our 6th year of that program. So we've individuals that are actually almost finished their 6th year, and we're currently recruiting for our 7th year. So for those of you on the line here, this will be our 7th year for running the program. And just probably in terms of managing this program, it's very much a hands-on traineeship, even though it's 26 weeks of the program is actually in Monaghan Cavan ETB. There's 12 weeks here placement within the CombiLift facility. Short little video clip, which is a virtual tour of our production plant. So it gives you, I know you've seen it maybe in the original video, but this will give you a quick snapshot of our facility. So
the CombiLift Global Headquarters. I'd like to take you on a brief tour to show you all the procedures that we have in place. At CombiLift, we pride ourselves on producing innovative products to improve safety, increase storage, and reduce overall costs of your material handling. We will now enter our fabrication area.
Welcome to Line 1. My name is Peter O'Reilly and I'm the line manager on this all-electric line which produces 5 different model types. A major advantage we have here is the commonality of parts across models on this line, meaning many of the assembly and programming processes are very similar or the same.
We are supporting 50,000 machines with components globally. We also have a distribution centre based in Greensboro, North Carolina, which we use to service our North American market.
Another section of our building is our straddle carrier department, which supports our customers with heavy and challenging loads. I would like to end our tour with our skywalk, which gives you a view of some of our other core products and production lines.
We're very much an export-focused company, and even with all the challenges that COVID, have brought many of us and our families over the last 12 months, for CombiLift as a business. We've never been busier. Our order intake for the first 3 months this year has never been higher. So, and a big driver for that is the forklifts we manufacture are specialized forklifts that allow our clients to work in smaller aisles so they can store more products in their existing warehouses. So we're not just making normal forklifts, we're making very tailored forklifts that bring value to our clients. And we now have just over 57,000 CombiLift vehicles operating worldwide. When we developed this program in collaboration with Monaghan Cav and ETB, it was very much designed around the needs of engineering companies like ourselves. But within, the course that's developed, this is now our 6th year we're currently running. It's a 9-month program. So the program, as every year, we've always tweaked and improved and, made it slightly better. But I think the other big plus of this traineeship, even with all the challenges of COVID, the individuals, our trainees that were involved over the last 9 months, will manage to actually complete their program by May 2021. So even because we have we've job experience here in the plant, and we collaborate very closely with Monaghan Institute, we've moved weeks around to ensure that our program has not lost any time. So we're probably one of the few training programs or qualifications that has not had any slippage over the last 12 months. Traineeship program, it's a program that we can never guarantee, but at least you should be pretty confident that if you're fortunate to join this in September, you'll have completed a level 5 traineeship by May 2022, regardless of what other issues that we all might encounter. This traineeship program, it really gives the individual the chance to see, is this really if engineering is really the career path of their choice? Because I think what happens with a lot of students, they sign up for certain programs within universities and they don't have any idea of what the practicality and if it's really a course they're going to enjoy. But with the traineeship, because you're in the classroom and you're also doing the practical side, it's a program where, and I'm not just speaking for myself, but for the trainees that have participated in this, which I think it's close or slightly over 100 trainees already have gone through this program. And it's a really testimony in terms of, how they've progressed. And I know you're going to hear from some other of our trainees here, but many of our trainees have progressed within our facility and have taken on different roles, within marketing department, overseas, involved in our after sales service. We have other individuals here that have actually progressed to be team leads. So there's really great career opportunity in terms of progression. I'd like to introduce you to John Kearney, the CEO of Monaghan Cav and ETB.
We're absolutely delighted and privileged to be involved with CombiLift in delivering this program. And now as we look forward to you potentially joining us for the 7th iteration of the program, I can guarantee you that this program is going from strength to strength. I very much want to compliment and congratulate Martin and his staff and the excellent success story that has been CombiLift over the last 23 years, starting off from very innovative, ambitious ideas 23 years ago to the wonderful international story that it actually is now, serving over 85 countries. I also very much want to acknowledge and compliment Martin again in relation to being recognised earlier this year by our Minister for Further Education and Higher Education, Minister Simon Harris, in winning the Generation Apprenticeship Employer, Large Employer of the Year awards. We all know here locally in the Cavan Monaghan region that CombiLift has a very high profile, but equally on the national and international front, CombiLift also enjoys a very tremendous high profile as such. This, I can guarantee you, will be an opportunity of a lifetime in joining CombiLift and availing of a very exciting program. I'm delighted tonight to be joined by my staff members in terms of Ronan Duffy, who's our course coordinator, and Ronan will go through with you all the various learning opportunities, the various programs. It's quite an extensive program, and Ronan will guide you through all of those, and the new emerging technologies and techniques that complement this program. Michelle Baker, our recruitment officer, will go through the eligibility criteria, the various allowance options, and the entire recruitment process.
So what I want to talk about this evening is the benefits of doing a traineeship and why you should consider it as a pathway. I want to talk about Monaghan Institute and the facilities there where you'll be conducting your studies. And I also want to discuss the different modules within the traineeship. So first of all, we can see here why a traineeship, and the first bullet point is no course fees. So at the moment, we're obviously in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, and I know a lot of people throughout Ireland are having financial difficulties. So you may be sitting here tonight considering returning to education, or you may have an upcoming GCSE or Leaving Cert, and you're considering doing this traineeship. So a big incentive is that at the end of the 9 months, you're not going to have any student debt or any fees to pay off. So that's a big incentive and very attractive for this traineeship. Not only that, is that CombiLift actually offer a bursary to learners. So we would have seen that in the video beforehand. So there's €100 bursary for the learners each week during the 9 months. So that's a great boost throughout the traineeship for the trainees. Learners can also avail of training, meal and travel allowance during their studies. So if you're travelling a certain distance to Monaghan Institute or CombiLift, you may be able to avail of this allowance, which alleviates some of the expenses with travel. The same with meals, you may be able to receive subsidised meals at Monaghan Institute or at the canteen at CombiLift. And also we conduct some training in the traineeship. So for example, there's manual handling training, there's abrasive wheel training, and you'll also have training in Lean Six Sigma. You'll receive a white belt there, and all of that is free of charge. Now we've talked about live local, learn local, work local, play local. We can see at the bottom of the screen there. And my next bullet point is live and learn local. So if you're sitting here tonight and you might be from the locality, you're from Monaghan, you're from Louth, you're from Cavan, you're from Meath, you should ask yourself the question that if you do indeed decide to take on this traineeship, can you do it from the comfort of your own home? Are you able to travel to Monaghan Institute and to CombiLift, which is obviously very beneficial and great at the present moment, because we all know we have our restrictions and we can't go too far. That being said, this current year of the traineeship, we have a very diverse group geographically. We have trainees from Mayo, from Sligo, from Fermanagh, from Meath, from all over Ireland. So it's not a thing that we're only getting trainees from County Monaghan or County Cavan. We're getting them from all over Ireland, and that's testament to how much it's progressed over the years, this traineeship. As Martin related to, we're moving into our 7th year in September. The QQI Level 5 qualification, you'll receive this in 9 short months. So this is my first year actually teaching on the traineeship, and I can tell you it feels about 2 weeks ago since I started in September. It's absolutely flown. And if you were to ask any of the current trainees, I guarantee you they'd say the same thing. I believe the reason behind this is due to the block placement. So essentially when you begin in September, you may be in Monaghan Institute for 5 to 6 weeks. You'll then have your work placement in CombiLift for, let's say, 2 weeks, back in Monaghan Institute for maybe a month, and then back out to CombiLift for work placement. So overall, you'll have around 5 to 6 work placements, and that'll add up to around 12 to 13 weeks in total. And the reason why the 9 months go so quickly is because you're in Monaghan Institute, you're doing your learning, then you're out putting it into practice in CombiLift. And that's a great structure, I think, to this traineeship, that you're developing your skills and then you're actually going to CombiLift and honing them inside the factory. The next bullet point we can see there is greatly improved employment and further training opportunities. So at the end of this traineeship, at the end of your last work placement, you'll be called for interview. And if you've showed the right initiative, if you've worked well on your different work placements and with the different modules, you will have a very good opportunity of getting employment within CombiLift. We also have further training opportunities, as Martin discussed. So currently at Monaghan Institute, we're moving into our 3rd year next year of the OEM apprenticeship. So that's Original Engineering Manufacturing Apprenticeship. And on that apprenticeship, the 1st and 2nd years, there's quite a few that have done the CombiLift traineeship previously and have now progressed into this apprenticeship at Monaghan Institute while still working within CombiLift. There's also other avenues with DKIT and other institutes of technology. If you show the right drive, you can complete maybe a level 6 while still working in CombiLift. And also, as Martin discussed, you have the opportunity of climbing the ladder within CombiLift as well. So this is the workshop at Monaghan Institute, and you'll spend a large amount of the time in Monaghan Institute inside this room. So if you look on the left hand side, you can see different computers there. They'd have the necessary software such as AutoCAD, SolidWorks, Automation Studio. So if you're producing a part inside the workshop, you can just jump over to the computer and Google something or get up a drawing. They're very easy that way. You can see the lathes at the back of the room, 3 lathes. We have a milling machine, we have a forging area, we have pillar drills. Everyone has their own individual workbenches, and there's also the hydraulic rig you can see over on the right hand side. In on the left actually is Dominic Conley's room. That's a hydraulics room, so that's where all the hydraulics rigs are kept. So if we just move on to my next slide there. So I've discussed about Monaghan Institute. I want to talk about the different modules now that are covered inside this traineeship. So the first 2 I want to discuss is engineering workshop processes and engineering workshop theory. Engineering workshop processes is a total practical module. So what will you cover in this module? Well, trainees will develop various benchwork and machining skills, theoretical knowledge through completing various projects and assignments during the programme. For example, filing, cutting, drilling, tapping, bending, lathe and milling machine. So there's 3 principal modules on electricity in this traineeship. There's auto electricity, there's electronics and there's control systems. So in this module, it's the principles of hydraulic components and hydraulic systems. So the tutor that completes this module is Dominic Conley, as Martin referred to already. So Dominic is an encyclopedia on hydraulics. I don't know how many questions I've asked him, stupid questions usually, and he'll have the answer. He has a wealth of experience in hydraulics, over 30 years, and he conducts this module. Another great thing about having Dominic as part of the team is not only does he teach you in Monaghan Institute, but when you're actually doing the work placement in CombiLift, Dominic will be checking in every day, so we'll do a run around and just have a chat with each trainee to see how they're getting on, if they're having any issues, or maybe they just need a question answered on a hydraulic circuit or something simple like that. So it's great having Dominic as part of the team. So just finally, my last slide there is a list of all the modules covered on the traineeship. So I've discussed engineering workshop processes. That's the total practical module where you hone your skills in the engineering workshop. Word processing focuses on Microsoft Word, on Microsoft PowerPoint. So if you return to education and you're maybe not that comfortable with IT, this is an excellent module where you're developing your skills using word processing, and it helps with writing up different assignments and skills demonstrations. I believe Martin touched on it. Our age range this year in the traineeship is from 17 up to 53. As a tutor, I find that very enjoyable because you have people coming into the classroom from all walks of life. You have people just after finishing GCSE or leaving cert. You have people taking a career change or moving from down a different career path. So it's great to have different real life experiences when we're talking about hydraulics or electronics or things like that, where people can give their own experiences working in this sector.
At that stage as well. So moving on then, next up we have Jack Martin. He's our graduate trainee that completed the OEM engineering traineeship, and Jack will talk through his career, why he chose the traineeship and his career since completing the OEM traineeship. So we'll hand it over to yourself, Jack. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for passing it over, Shauna. I hope everyone's keeping well during these times. As Shauna said, I'm Jack. I completed the traineeship in 2017, in the 2017 to 2018 year. I believe I was the second year of the traineeship. And like most Leaving Cert students, I was not sure what I was going to do or where I was going to go. I was just kind of go with my first option and wing it. Whatever the course was, I was telling myself I'm just going to stick it out and hopefully get it finished. And unfortunately, it wasn't the case. I took on food science and I traveled up to Dublin, spent 5 months studying the course that I had no interest in, absolutely did not want to do anything with science. It was a waste of 5 years. I didn't know where I was going to go or how I was going to change career path. It wasn't a good time at all. Luckily enough, I had a cousin who participated in the first year of the traineeship. I told him my situation, how I was not comfortable up in Dublin. I was spending too much money. There was the expense for apartments in Dublin, to travel, the food. There was just no income coming in for me. It was not good at all. Luckily enough, the cousin of mine recommended the traineeship. When I heard about the traineeship, I wasn't sure. I had no interest in or no experience in engineering or any kind of mechanical work or electronics. I didn't know what to expect from it. I didn't know where I was going to go with it. I said, okay, maybe I had a bit of interest in electronics, computers and whatnot. SolidWorks, I thought it would be a good step for me to take. So I decided to chance my arm with the traineeship. So I applied for it and said goodbye to Dublin, applied for the traineeship and luckily enough got in. It was a quick 9 months. I didn't know what to expect when I stepped into it. I was surprised with how much I was actually learning during it. It was definitely it was definitely great for me to see what was going on and the different things that they showed us with the electronics and mechanical, and they were fit to point out what we could do. It was great for me that had no experience. I hadn't even lifted any tools before stepping into this apprenticeship or this traineeship, and I got a great understanding from it. I personally put a lot of work into the electronic side. I picked up on it quickest. The likes of SolidWorks and CAD, it really went well with me. I came into CombiLift on the 3rd month of it and was put onto the line. From there, I got a great experience of working in the factory. I got a great experience working in the factory and working with the tools and the work environment. CombiLift really had everything to offer for me. The bursary that the traineeship offered, it was another great help because I was earning money as I was learning, and you know, when I started to compare the traineeship to Dublin with the expense that Dublin had, it didn't make sense for me. You know, I really regretted going up to Dublin in the first place. And with the Monaghan being so close to home to me, it was just brilliant to have that there for me.
So last but not least, we'd like to introduce you to Michelle Baker, Recruitment Officer from CMETB, who will talk you through the recruitment process and the next step in applying for the traineeship. So Michelle, I'll hand it over to yourself. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Shauna. So guys, listen, you're all very welcome. As Shauna said, I'm the last presenter of the day, so want to give you some information on sort of what's the next steps for you, and really for you to explore, is this the right course for you? We look at what maybe your eligibility is for the course. We want to ensure that you're suitable for doing the course and also that you're capable for doing the course. So those are the 3 things that we look for in the recruitment process. So one of the first things that we look at is your age. So as both Ronan and Martin have said, you know, there's been a vast range of age groups on the course. Your minimum age must be 16 to 17 years of age. You need to be of statutory school leaving age. So depending on when you started school, you would need to now be 16 or 17 years minimum. The next thing that we look for in terms of eligibility is your previous qualifications. So minimally, we are looking to see that you're going to be capable of achieving this course. So this qualification is a QQI level 5 qualification in engineering. So we would look from your application form to see, do you have a level 4 qualification or equivalent? So we would be looking to see, do you have a Leaving Cert certificate? Do you have a QQI level 4 qualification? Or perhaps you're coming with something maybe different that would be the equivalent. So for example, if you were coming from maybe Northern Ireland, we'd be looking to see, do you have GCSE qualifications? And specifically, they would be grades A to C, or with the new grading, we would be looking at grades 4 to 9. You do not need to have any previous work experience, but perhaps if maybe you're a mature learner, you maybe aren't coming with previous qualifications. Maybe school wasn't for you, that you didn't enjoy the experience of school. So this is adult education, and we would look at a mature student, and believe it or not, a mature student is someone that's over the age of 23, which most certainly makes me feel old. But we would look and see maybe what your life experience or your previous work experience is, to see if that would make you then eligible for the course. The traineeship is part funded through European Social Fund money. So one of the other eligibility checks that we need to do is to ensure that you are either a EU or EEA nationality. Just to note that although Northern Ireland has left the EU, you are still eligible to do these courses under the Common Travel Area. So anybody from Northern Ireland would be able to do the courses. So as additional maybe support and payments to you whilst you're on the course, we have a meal payment and we have a travel payment. Now, both of those payments are contributions, and they are a nominal amount to support you in attending your classes and to sort of take away that maybe additional burden or barrier that you may feel in attending training. Now, we do have an accommodation allowance. It's paid at $69.90 per week. That allowance is paid either you get the travel or you get the accommodation, but you cannot get both. And there's certain conditions around that accommodation allowance. So you must live more than 30 kilometres from the training venue. And what's the next steps? So the first thing is to complete the application form. And I can't stress in this to provide us with as much information as you can. So what will happen after you complete the application form is I will complete your details on our fetchcourses.ie for you, and from that then we would be inviting you along for aptitude tests. Okay, so with that, we will send you emails and texts, and that's how we will communicate with you as to what's coming up and what's the next step in the process to get on to the course. So then the final stage would be to complete interviews, and we would hope to do that in the middle of July. Now, historically, they have always been face-to-face meetings, so it would just depend whether we are in a situation where we can have those face-to-face or whether they will be remote. So we will keep you posted on that. It really, really is important that you apply early. We would be moving forward with this process with the first set of candidates. We already do have a number of individuals who have already completed their application forms. So I would really encourage you to apply quickly.
I have another question here. I'm going to ask Martin. Perhaps Martin, you could answer this one for us. There's been a lot of questions have come in. What percentage of trainees will be offered a role in CombiLift?
So I suppose the best way I can answer that, if we look over the last 5 years, and now we're going into our 6th year, or sorry, we're finishing our 6th year, on average we have give full-time employment to between 75 and 80% of everyone that has completed the traineeship. So it's a really great career opportunity to get a full-time role within CombiLift. But I very much, I think the individuals that sign up for this are individuals that really want to progress with their careers, and in that sense, CombiLift, we'd really love to offer employment to everyone that very much shows the initiative to sign up for it and put the work in through that 9-month program. So
Thanks, Martin. And again, I'm going to stay with you, Martin, because there's another question that has come in here just in relation to CombiLift, and just what have other past trainees worked at after completing the OEM traineeship? So maybe you could answer that for them, Martin.
Yeah, and I mean, if you take over the last 5 to 6 years, past trainees are involved in a variety of career roles within CombiLift here. I mean, we've individuals that have progressed to become team leads. We have other individuals that have moved into different departments. We have even a couple of individuals that actually have travelled, went overseas, and are very much involved in our technical after sales service support. Because I know Michelle very much mentioned, you know, we're looking for individuals that are problem solvers, people that can solve issues, troubleshooting. And when we think of after sales service, that's really a very vital part of that. And I know many young people that sign up for a program like this, traineeship, might have or at least a percentage might have a wish to do some traveling around the world. And by working with CombiLift, it gives you that opportunity to work and travel, and of course continue to develop your skill set from the basis of this traineeship. But I would say is the role that you start off in CombiLift, there's definitely many different variety of roles that can be developed over the following years, and progression past from that as well. So
thanks, Martin. And just Ronan, a couple of people have actually put this question in. It's a very popular question. They want to know, is there welding on this course?
Yeah, to answer your question, Nicola, there is welding. So in the engineering workshop processes module I discussed, that's the module that's totally practical. There is welding aspects within that that module. So yes, is the answer.
Great, and I'll stick with you as well, Ronan, just while I have you there. Some of the applicants or the people listening tonight are asking how much of the course is practical based. So I know you touched on this earlier, but if you could maybe just elaborate a bit more on that, please.
Yeah, no problem at all. So for example, with some of the modules, so let me think of electronics and auto electricity, for example. Auto electricity, 60% of it is practical, so it's practical skills demonstrations, and then 40% is an exam. For electronics, I believe it's 70% is practical and 30% is an exam. So a lot of the modules are broken up like that. So if you are not that great at an exam environment or at your theory, I wouldn't be worrying too much about that, because if you're good practically and you put in the work, for the majority of modules, you would nearly pass it just with your practical elements, not even with the theoretical aspects.
That's great, thank you, Ronan. I wish we could answer everyone's questions tonight. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. My colleague is quickly here answering as many as she can. So as I said before, if you don't get an answer to your question, if we don't get back to you this evening, or you have more questions, please don't hesitate to contact either ourselves here or Michelle Baker, the training at CMETB.ie. There are published questions there, so there were quite a few similar questions that we have published there with answers. And I think that's all from me. I'm not going to keep anyone any longer. I'll hand you back to Shauna just to close out in a second.
Thank you, Nicola. Thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. We've had a really good amount of people in the audience attending the event tonight, so we're really delighted with that. And if anyone has any queries, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us. I'd also like to thank all our guest speakers tonight. I know it's not easy, when everything's virtual, but it's a kind of new way of doing things now with the times we're living in. So thanks very much to everybody. I hope you enjoyed the guest speakers and the videos. And again, just to reiterate, any questions, we're getting back to as many as we can tonight. But if we have not managed to answer your question, if you can just send us a wee email so we have your personal details, and we'll get back to you, as soon as we can. So just to close out, thanks again for tuning in. All the best, stay safe, and good night.